The argument that Tottenham are only going to pick one is, I think, asinine, because it's the weakest area of our team. It's the weakest area on the pitch. It's also the area where we're going to see the most transformation and most transition in the next kind of formational style that we're going to watch from Tottenham. It's probably the area where you need to have the most confidence in the team. And if you look at and judge last season's system that was set up in a way to balance out the weaknesses in the team in that area, and yet we still had 67 goals or whatever it was go past us into the back of the net, then to me the argument that only one main statement central defender is necessary is nonsense. Morning everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is just over my shoulder. She'll be coming into view in a second. How are you? We hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love with the people that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour, like you always do. Like game is strong with you. Hit the like button for me on the video. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Join the now 11,200 and change of people that have gone before. Welcome back to all the old. Hi mate. Welcome to the new. It's a scorcher today. That man is running in a hoodie. Ridiculous. Anyway, make yourselves at home. Let's get on with today's Tottenham transfer news, views and clues. And we're going to start with the incomings because I'm a little bit annoyed, but I've also got some thoughts on it that are not just based on irritations. But Parisi Romano has come out with an update this morning saying that Tottenham's priority number one target for centre-back is Edmund TAPSOBA. The deals are ongoing, talks are ongoing, everything's keen, everything's moving in the right direction, but that doesn't mean that Mickey van der Ven is off. And I forget the wording he used here. I think, I'll put the thing up on the screen, I think he said Tottenham are working on both deals. Something like that. Now, I don't want to necessarily have to read between the lines and make out like I'm assuming that he's intimating things that he might not be. He might just be saying both deals are still being worked on, but as I previously mentioned, we're going to choose one, or Tottenham are going to choose one over the other. Or is it finally a little bit of insight that maybe, just maybe, Tottenham might make the smart, logical decision here and go after both players? You know why I think that both players are essential? I think they're both great players. I think TAPSOBA is clear of Van der Ven for the left-sided centre-back role. He's a better passer. He's just more developed as a player, more advanced, more experienced, and is, more ready, I think, for what we need. However, Mickey van der Ven, not only does he offer versatility and utility in his positional play, but I also think he's got a ridiculously high ceiling. He's very, very talented. And he's very good with all the physical attributes that you need. You need players with pace and power and height to play in the high line. He does have all the attributes. I think both of those players make a lot of sense. The argument that Tottenham are only going to pick one is, I think, asinine, because it's the weakest area of our team. It's the weakest area on the pitch. It's also the area where we're going to see the most transformation and most transition in the next kind of formational style that we're going to watch from Tottenham. It's probably the area where you need to have the most confidence in the team. And if you look at and judge last season's system that was set up in a way to balance out the weaknesses in the team in that area, and yet we still had 67 goals or whatever it was go past us into the back of the net, then to me the argument that only one main statement central defender is necessary is nonsense. And if the argument is, well, we can't afford to go big with both, so we'll go either big with one and free with the other, i.e. TAPSOBA and Longley, or we'll go middle ground with one and middle ground with the other, i.e. Van der Ven and Tosin, then I still think that we are missing the wood for the trees massively on this particular one. And it really doesn't make sense when you cross compare the financials of teams that are just down the road from us and the statements of intent and ambition that they are showing. Arsenal's revenues last year were about 410 million pound, 410 million pound. From memory, about 445 million euros. Tottenham's were about 445, 450 million pounds. So give or take about 10, maybe 11% higher revenues than Arsenal's. Arsenal this year have spent 105 million on Declan Rice. Tottenham have never come close to getting anything near to a three-figure sum for a player. They've also gone and spent 75 million pound on Kai Havertz, which is about 20% above our record transfer. So their second signing of the summer still cost them 20% more than our highest transfer fee ever. And they're getting close to getting Jurrien Timber over the line at about 40 million, who is a wonderful player, and that would probably be somewhere around the 5th or 6th, maybe 5th highest fee that Tottenham have ever paid. And this is their first year in the Champions League for quite a while. The idea that they have, you know, massive amounts of revenues from before to dig into, to dial into, is not true. Don't forget that FFP rules have changed to now being focused more on a percentage cap spend on salaries and wages and agents' fees relative to your revenue than on making sure that you stay within certain parameters of profitability. It's more complicated than just saying because Tottenham's have earned more money or brought more money and they can spend more money. There's more complexity to it, and that's for a different conversation. But in simplistic terms, Tottenham could and should be able to spend the additional money on someone like a TAPSOBA and a Van de Ven and still feel very confident that they're not close to tapping on the FFP door. Nothing like it, not like Newcastle are, not like Chelsea, for example, are. There's wiggle room there if Tottenham's owners want to go that deep. And where I would also throw my attention is the indirect benefit of getting Van de Ven and TAPSOBA in. Not only do you, of course, level up your defence, but the versatility of both players makes double sense. TAPSOBA can come onto the right-hand side in a scenario where Romero's injured or where Romero's form is dropping. Van de Ven can play in the left. TAPSOBA can play on the left. Van de Ven can play in left back. Ben Davies can play left back or left-sided centre-back. If we were to sign Van de Ven and keep Ben Davies, you then have three players that can play left-sided centre-back and left-back in TAPSOBA, Van de Ven, Ben Davies and Destiny Udogie. And if you have three of those four always interchanging, then you don't need Ryan Sessegnon and Serge Reguilon anymore, which makes it much, much easier to make difficult decisions around what to do with Ryan Sessegnon and Serge Reguilon. And there's money there. Those players have retained value in their age, in their quality, in their reputation. I think you could recoup £30 million, give or take, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less, in selling both of those players. I really don't see the problem from a homegrown perspective with Ryan Sessegnon. I think you can cover that if you keep Ollie Skip and also maybe promote one of the youth team into the 25 like an Alfie Devine or whoever else, Dane Scarlett if he needs to come back, whatever. There's no real challenge there. So to me, I feel like the idea of signing Van de Ven and TAPSOBA makes absolute sense, both from a levelling up perspective, a versatility perspective, a utility perspective, and even an economical perspective. When you think about what you then can do with regards to decisions on other players that you don't need and that we don't particularly want. Let me know your thoughts though. In terms of other ways to raise some funds, try and balance the books, try to get some of the deadwood off of the books and out of the squad. We know that Tottenham have got £250 million worth of players on loan, or we did have last season, and we need to find a way to get some of those guys out the door. Obviously, we've just spoken about Sessegnon and Reguilon. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been linked yesterday. I didn't speak about it yesterday's video, but He has been linked with going to Atletico Madrid. The rumoured number is about 30 million euros for him. He's willing to go. I think it makes a lot of sense. He'd like to play at that pace in the Spanish level. I think he'd do a really good job for a Simeone system. And, you know, he has been a very good servant for Tottenham. I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter that are desperate for him to leave. I've seen a few people that are desperate for him to stay. Personally, I don't think either of those positions is probably correct. I feel like he's done a good job for Tottenham. He should be respected, applauded, thanked, and sent on his way with gratitude for the effort that he put in. You know, it's sometimes finding those bodies that just are unbreakable, that are always there and willing to put in 90 minutes twice a week. I think that they're invaluable to teams, and I don't think we have anyone else like him. And I shudder to think sometimes, if he had the usual traditional fragility like most players do, where they go down for a month here or a month there every season, especially last season, what would we have done had we had to play for an extended period of time without him? So listen, I don't think he suits the system that we're going into, so I think he's the right player to raise some funds from, but there's no desperation for him to leave, and certainly there's no lack of gratitude for what he's done. I think he's a really good player. And you know what? Had he been a better fit for the system, had Postecoglou wanted him to stay, I also think he would have been the right choice for captain, as I think he does demonstrate leadership material, leadership qualities, in the way that he demands excellence from himself and others. Listen, his version of excellent is not necessarily the highest level, but you can't criticize someone for not having a higher ceiling than what they have, but you can applaud them for having the mentality that they do. And I think he had a very strong mentality. So if he does leave, if he does go to Madrid, then I will certainly wish him well and hope that Tottenham can then use that money to replace him with a better six, a more correct six. And we've spoken about who I like in that regard. The Amrabat deal to Manchester United isn't done yet. I was speaking to Sava about this the other day. Sava raises a good point. Where exactly does Amrabat fit into the United system? Does he play alongside Casemiro or does he replace Casemiro? And I don't think he can play alongside Casemiro. I think you only need one of those two. So does he really want to come and play second rate, second best, have fractured minutes? I'm not entirely convinced. And if not, maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for Tottenham to go and make something happen there. If not him, I like Manuel Locatelli from Juventus. I'm a big fan of Calvin Phillips. The only thing I think about Calvin Phillips that doesn't suit the six role is the fact that he's another one who's 5'9". And I do worry a little bit about Tottenham. Bugsy, come here please. About Tottenham having too many shorter players in the squad and the impact that can have from an aerial threat perspective. But as a player, Calvin Phillips, I think, suits and fits the specificities of the six incredibly well. He's very comfortable on the ball, playing the quarterback role. Did it very well for Leeds, did it very well for England in the Euros. Can sit back, mop everything up and recycle the ball and get the ball rolling. He's also someone who's got some tenacity, a very good tackle on him. And look, he's probably of one of those mindsets where if the ball gets past you, the player doesn't. Apart from that, guys, let me know your thoughts on any of the outgoings. We're starting to figure out maybe that Ivan Perisic is also about to have his contract torn up. I was expecting that to happen. I'm happy, more than happy, to get the 180 grand a week off the books. I would imagine this would be some sort of mutual termination where maybe he gets a small payout, a small slice of what he's owed. But if he thinks he's due all £9 million of his remaining contract in salary and at the same time wants to leave to go back home to Hajduk Split, then I think that's silliness. I think if you want to leave because Conte's gone, then there has to be a sacrifice made on both ends. And I think that he should expect to have the vast majority of his remaining salary sacrificed as well. And then we'll let him go, wish him well, thank you for the memories. Similar situations are probably going to happen with Hugo Lloris. We'll find out about that. Maybe, just maybe though, Tottenham could find a way to eke out a little bit of blood from that stone as well, and try and get a couple of million maybe if he wants to sell him to a Saudi Arabian club. I'm not sure. But yeah, we're starting to make moves, guys. We're starting to make movements happen. But for me, the main focus obviously is the centre backs, and I really don't want to just sit there and think that it has to be one or the other. I think there's more than enough opportunity and justification to get us both in. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, bye bye.